Iris Kelsey-Espill is introduced in the throes of grief, mourning the recent loss of her young son, Matteo, in a tragic accident. She isolates herself from friends and family, haunted by guilt and unable to cope with her pain. Desperate for an escape, Iris drives to Big Sur, California, with the intention of ending her life. She arrives at a secluded lookout point where the cliffs overlook the ocean. With tears streaming down her face, she steps toward the edge, clutching Matteo's favorite toy, a final token of her love for him. As Iris hesitates, a man named Richard Finn Whitrick approaches her from behind. At first, he seems empathetic, offering her words of comfort. He shares a fabricated story about losing his own loved ones, convincing her that he understands her pain. His calm demeanor and kind words momentarily distract her from her despair. Just as Iris begins to lower her guard, Richard's tone shifts. He reveals that he has been watching her for some time, and before she can react, he injects her with a paralytic agent. Iris collapses, barely able to move, as Richard calmly picks up her belongings and drags her to his car. Iris wakes up in a dark, isolated cabin deep in the forest. Her body is weak, her movements sluggish from the drug. Richard stands over her, eerily calm, explaining the rules of his twisted game. He tells her she has limited time before full paralysis sets in, and she must try to escape if she hopes to survive. Terrified but determined, Iris struggles to her feet and makes an initial attempt to flee. The effects of the paralytic make every movement agonizingly slow, and Richard watches her efforts with a mocking smile. Iris manages a second escape attempt, this time more prepared. She uses one of her traps to temporarily injure Richard, buying herself precious time. As she stumbles deeper into the forest, the paralytic worsens, and her body begins to betray her. Every step is a battle against her own limits. Richard recovers quickly and pursues her with relentless determination. The forest becomes a stage for a deadly game of cat and mouse. Iris's resourcefulness keeps her alive, but Richard's experience as a predator makes him a formidable opponent. The tension escalates with every near capture. In her desperate flight, Iris stumbles upon an abandoned ranger station. Richard catches up to Iris at the station, but instead of capturing her outright, he taunts her, enjoying the psychological torment. He dismantles the radio in front of her, erasing her last hope of external rescue. His cruelty is on full display, as is Iris's growing resolve to fight back. The final confrontation takes place in a clearing as the sun begins to rise. Iris, now barely able to move, uses her last trap, a makeshift spear triggered by a tripwire, to wound Richard severely. The battle is brutal, with both of them pushed to their physical and emotional limits. Against all odds, Iris manages to deliver a final blow, incapacitating Richard. She collapses beside him, her body almost completely paralyzed. Her victory is bittersweet, marked by exhaustion and the lingering fear that it might not be over.